All right. All right, welcome to the live stream. We're gonna see how this goes. This is the first time I've ever done a live stream on YouTube, so it's gonna be interesting to see how this works out. So I just wanted to give some updates on what's going on with the channel to get started, and then I can take some comments and answer some questions that some of you guys might have. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up the chat on the side to see, and I'll be monitoring that as we go. So first of all, just about 20 minutes ago, we hit 700 subscribers on the channel, which I think is really incredible. Didn't really know exactly what was going to happen with this channel when I started it. I started it back in February, I think. And to get to 700 subscribers before I've even hit my first year on YouTube, I think was really cool, especially for such a niche topic like film photography. So I've got a lot of plans for 2017. I think it's going to be really exciting to continue to put together more content for YouTube, and I've been really excited to see the feedback that people have been leaving on my videos. Most of it's positive. I'm starting to attract a few more internet trolls, which has been interesting to see that, because that wasn't something I got at all when I first started the channel, because there just weren't enough people watching, I guess. So if you've watched the last couple videos I've done, I did a couple of collaboration videos. There was one I just posted yesterday on the Mamiya 645 medium format camera. And this was a collaboration I did with my friend Daniel, who is another film photographer and someone who I've met through photography here in Boston. And we talk about film all the time. So I pitched the idea to him to go out and shoot some photos with his camera. I have a Mamiya RZ67, and some people left comments on the video saying that they wanted me to do a similar type of video with the RZ67. So that is something I plan on doing at some point in the spring, hopefully. So we'll see how that goes. I also did a collaboration with Amy from Crafty Invasion. Now, I found her channel randomly because a video that she made about film photography was promoted in my YouTube feed, I guess, when I logged in. So I watched her video and I checked out some of the other videos on her channel, and I ended up just reaching out to her and saying, hey, do you want to do a collaboration? We could, each make a video and try to do something to sort of cross promote our our content to different audiences. So I thought that was really interesting. She's someone, she makes different types of handmade crafts and that sort of thing. So it was a different audience for me, and it was a different audience for her, I think. So I think it was a really interesting collaboration. So I'm trying to do some more stuff like that, where I work with people who have similar interests, or maybe not exactly the narrow topic of film photography, but something where we can each bring something to the table and bring a new audience, I guess. So, all right. So some other things I wanted to talk about are some cameras I've been shooting with recently, and just some of my experiences trying out a couple of different film SLRs. Now, when I got started in film photography, I shot mostly with a Canon FTB camera. I still have that camera. It was my dad's old camera, and I really like Canon cameras. So, and I have a bunch of Canon FD lenses. I think I have like 3 or 4 of them that I really like and use on a regular basis. So sometime in the summer or early fall, I picked up a Canon AE1 program. I don't know if you can see that. And I have really loved shooting with this camera. It's a lot lighter than the Canon FTB, and it's something that's just been really, really intriguing to shoot for me. Now, one thing that I don't like compared to the Canon FTB is that you have to have batteries to shoot with it. That's something that's a little annoying. I really do like mechanical cameras that do not rely on a battery. I'm kind of nitpicky about that. I don't know. It's something that I like. I prefer to shoot with something that's fully mechanical if I'm going to be using a film SLR, even though all my digital cameras and all the cameras pretty much made since the 80s that I've used at least require batteries, and it's usually not an issue, but just something that I like. But the shutter on this just feels really fantastic. It's a great camera to shoot with, and I've really enjoyed playing around with it. So probably in January, I'm going to be doing a video on the AE1 program. I put a couple rolls of film through it. I feel like I've got a good feel for the camera and can do a video on it. So for me right now, I'm basically just over swamped with ideas for videos. I think my idea list has reached over 100 videos that I could make. So just based on the list, if I didn't have any new ideas based on my current list, I could make a video a week for the next 2 years, which is pretty cool, I think. So mostly now it's just not having enough time to put the videos together to match the number of ideas I have. So that's good. That's a good problem to have, I guess. So I will be trying to put together a video on the AE1 program sometime in January. I also want to do some content on instant film again. That's something I really love. I love shooting instant photos, Polaroids, Instax, those sorts of things. So I'm hoping to do a bit more content on instant film, especially next year. I'd like to get my hands on an Impossible i1 camera if I can and do a review on that. I haven't really seen any hands-on reviews of that camera on YouTube. I think there was one episode of Negative Feedback that they used the camera a little bit and compared different instant film cameras, but I haven't really seen anything on the Impossible i1. So that's something that I'm hoping to try out. Let's see. I'm trying to see, I can't see anybody's comments. So i1. So that's something that I'm hoping to try out. Let's see. I'm trying to see, I can't see anybody's comments. So i1. So that's something that, let's try this. Okay. So let's see, what else have I been doing? So I've also been shooting a little bit with Nikon cameras, as you probably noticed. I did a video on the F3, and lately I've also been shooting with the Nikon FM2. This camera is really interesting to me for a number of reasons. One, it is fully mechanical, so it does fit that criteria that I really like in a camera, and it's just something that I have found really interesting to shoot. But one thing that drives me crazy on this is, so with a normal film SLR, when you take a photo and then you advance the shutter and you pull it the whole way back, you take another photo. But if you pull the, let's get this closer here, I guess. If you pull this all the way back, it actually locks the shutter. And that's to prevent you from taking an exposure if you put it in your bag or something. But when I take a photo, usually I will press this and advance, and then my natural motion is to bring it all the way back, which you can do easily. And then when I go to take another photo, the shutter's locked. So you actually have to leave this out in order to take a photo. So if I want to take a photo, I let it swing back, but then it's sort of sticking out. I don't know. That's just kind of driven me crazy as I've shot with this a little bit. Just with shooting other film SLRs, I'm just used to bringing that lever all the way back. And so I just sort of naturally do that. But when I'm shooting with the FM2, that prevents me from taking the next shot. So, but otherwise, this camera is really awesome. It's lighter than the F3, which is nice. One thing that I don't like about the Nikon F3 is it's a little bit bulky compared to some other cameras that I've shot with. And right now, I still think I haven't really found the holy grail of film SLRs, but I think my favorite ones to shoot with so far have been the Olympus OM1 and now maybe the Canon AE1. So I'm not certain what I'm going to do with the Canon FM2, or not the Canon FM2, the Nikon FM2. I'm not certain what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm thinking about maybe selling it after I make a video on it. I might hang on to it. I don't know. I do like collecting cameras, but it's not something that I want to really continue doing because it's not financially sustainable for me to be constantly buying cameras. So I think what I'm probably going to do is something like maybe set up an Etsy shop or just resell some of the cameras on eBay. So I might end up buying cameras and then shooting with them for a little while, and then you know, selling them when they're done after I've made a video on them, something like that. If I do find cameras that I particularly enjoy shooting with, then yeah, I'll probably want to hang on to them, but we'll see. So let's see. I still can't see anybody's comments here in the chat, so I know they're coming in. I just checked it, but I think I'm just going to keep rambling on because people are still watching anyway. So let's see, what else is going on with the channel? So one thing that I'm really excited about is I've started shooting with a lot more black and white film. If you've watched my channel or watched some of the videos on my channel over the years, you probably noticed that I don't really shoot that much black and white film. I usually shoot color film. I really like color slide film and color negative film too, films like Kodak Portra. But I've decided to do a series of videos in January and February that are just going to be dedicated to black and white film. So I've been shooting some more black and white film recently. I've shot some Kodak T-Max, I've shot some Kodak Tri-X, I've shot Ilford HP5, and these are all films that I've tried before, but definitely haven't shot with them as much as a lot of the color film that I use. So I'll be doing some film stock reviews that are dedicated to black and white film, and I think that's something that you guys might be interested in. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be January and February, I believe. And yeah, I'm going to try to do some more collaboration videos. I already mentioned that. I'm doing one with my friend Jordan on the Nikon FG, which should come out soon. And then I'd also like to do some stuff where I maybe get a couple of people together, like maybe I find a model to work with and do like a photo shoot and film it and do something like that. I think that could be something that'd be very interesting. So let's see, what else have we got? So I've been experimenting with some different social media platforms to promote my stuff. Mainly, over the first year of this channel, I've been sticking pretty much entirely to Instagram and Facebook to promote things. And Facebook's pretty low on the level of engagement I get. I do get a lot of engagement on stuff I post on Instagram, so I've pretty much stuck to those. But I've been using Twitter a little bit more, and then I also started a Pinterest account, which I thought Pinterest would be kind of lame, but I've actually surprisingly kind of enjoyed it so far. I've only been playing around with it for a couple of days, and I have no idea what's going to come of it at all. But it's been something that's pretty interesting to see that. So let's see. Really like to see the comments, but they're not populating to me. Let's see. Try to figure this out. All right, now I'm seeing the comments on the side here. Yes. So to Josh's comment on the Nikon lenses, yes, like Nikon lenses do tend to be a lot more expensive, and that was something that made me shy away from it a little bit. I basically inherited or was given a Canon camera, and so it made sense to just pick up a few other lenses for cheap and try out with that. But getting into a whole different system of film lenses was something that's still kind of a little bit off-putting for me, and I've kind of dipped my toe in with Nikon. Like I really like shooting with the Nikon F3. The FM2 is pretty cool as well, but I only have about I think 2 lenses right now, and I have a 28 millimeter f3.5, and that lens is not really that great. It's not super sharp. I don't really like shooting with it, but it's the one that came with the f3 when I bought it. So I bought a 50 millimeter f1.8, and that lens is pretty sharp. But yeah, Nikon lenses are expensive. one of my friends, he's really, really into Nikon stuff. He has Nikon digital cameras and film cameras, and he's got a really good collection of lenses. So Nikon makes amazing lenses, but they are quite expensive. Let's see. And for black and white, I also like Fuji Acros 100. That's probably my favorite black and white film I've shot with so far. I shot some medium format stuff with my RZ67, and I was absolutely blown away by how good those images looked. It just looks super crisp, super fine grain, and I don't know, like I like black and white photography. I've never liked it as much when I take the photos. I tend to like my own color photography better. But when I took some photos with Fuji Acros, every time I'm like, that's awesome. I have to shoot more black and white film. Let's see. All right. Hello, Portugal. Yeah, I also really like Kodak Ektar. It's been a really fun film to shoot for me. It took me a little while to come around to it. Like, Um, I don't know if you guys have watched Eric Wallstrom's videos on Kodak Ektar. He made two of them, one of them a couple years ago, and at first he hated it, and then he just made a video now saying it's one of his favorite films. And that's sort of how I felt too when I took some photos with it. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this film. It saturates colors in like a weird way, like it has a preference to like reds, and I think it's just a really interesting film to shoot, but you have to know what you want to do with it. And I think if you're shooting portraits with Kodak Ektar, it's best to go medium format. It tends to, if you overexpose Kodak Ektar shooting medium format, it seems to look a lot better for portraits than if you shoot 35 millimeter. And I've mostly shot 35 millimeter with it, but one of my friends, he like absolutely loves Ektar and swears by it. So I'm trying to shoot more of it myself, but it took me a while to come around to it. Let's see. Oh, looks like we've got some people from all over. So leave a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I'm kind of surprised that there's people from all over the world watching this right now. It's kind of cool. So I saw another comment up there. Dan from Rhode Island, I might hit you up on that offer to borrow some of your film gear. That's one of the hardest things for running a YouTube channel, I think, is like actually having access to different cameras to shoot with. Right now, I'm kind of swamped with my own camera collection, and I need to make videos on the stuff I have, and then probably pare down the collection a bit and get rid of some things. But I might hit you up to see if I can get some cameras off you. That's cool. I've spent some time in Providence. Providence is a cool city. I'd like to go down there more. It's only like 30 minutes from Boston, but it just seems like so far away. I never think to go there. And yet it's right there. Let's see. So we've got Tampa, we've got Spain, we've got the Netherlands. Someone's watching from Dubai at 5 in the morning. Amazing. Let's see. So, are there any other cameras that you guys would like to see film content on this channel around? I've looked at some other cameras. Like I said, I have to go through some of the cameras I already have, and I want to sell some of those, and then look to get some more stuff. But I've also been getting more people hitting me up saying like, "Hey, I have this old film camera in my attic," or something like, "Would this be something you might be interested in getting?" Nobody's totally followed up with me on that, but I've had people try to unload Minolta gear and things like that. And right now, most of the stuff I have in terms of 35 millimeter is Canon and Nikon. I have a Pentax Spotmatic that I really want to do a video on. I've been shooting with it since the summertime, and I just have not gotten around to getting a video done on that. That's a really cool camera too, because it has the M42 screw mount, and wow, the M42 screw mount lenses are super, super, super cheap. Like, I've found tons of different really cool lenses for like $20 to $30, and so that's been a camera that's been really fun to shoot with as well, because I have the Helios 44-2 lens, and I don't know if you guys know about that lens, probably, but it gives this really swirly bokeh effect in the out of focus areas. Not sure what causes that, but it has a really interesting look. And those lenses are like $50. I kind of rolled the dice on that one because it's an old like Soviet block lens. So most of those lenses are being sold on eBay through places like the Ukraine and other places in Eastern Europe. And some of the deals just like look kind of sketchy. And even the person I bought it from was really sketchy because their eBay profile said that they were in New Jersey, but they were actually in like Russia or something. So they lied about where they were, but the lens showed up and it works fine. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. But that was just like, there's so many of those really cool lenses, but it seems like they're only being sold by like sketchy people on eBay. Let's see. Let's see. I've been thinking about doing a Holga Diana shootout video or something like that. I have a Holga. I did a video on it probably 6 months ago, and I have a Diana, which I haven't really shot with yet. But those are the two like cult classic plastic Lomo type film cameras. So I've been thinking about doing a video where I go out with a friend and we both shoot a roll. One of us shoots with the Holga and one of us shoots with the Diana, and we sort of compare photos. That's another one on the list of ideas. So I'm hoping I can put something like that together. Yeah, I have seen the FPP Debonair, but I already had a Holga at that point, so I just didn't think I needed another plastic toy camera. Let's see. What else we got here? So I'm probably gonna have to link up with Daniel again to do more Mamiya 645 videos. I think that one of the reasons I like talked to him to make the video is just he had that camera. That wasn't my camera. So I think it'd be cool to do a comparison of those cameras too, because they're very different. Like the Mamiya 645 is a nice camera. It's very light compared to the RZ67. That's one of the things that anytime I take that camera somewhere, somebody talks to me. Like, it's crazy. Like, you can't go unnoticed walking around with the Mamiya RZ67. So someone has always said like what is that? Like, why are you shooting with that? Or just, people are very interested in that. It's a very like attention grabbing camera. Um, but the 645 is like actually fairly light. Like, you can toss that in your backpack and not worry about having back pain the next day or something. So I think it'd be cool to do like a comparison video of those two cameras. They're very different in price too. The 645 is like you can get the whole kit for like around $200, but a Mamiya RZ67 kit is going to be like $700. Um, but it's a great camera. Whenever I decided that I was going to get that, I all ideas that I had or like fantasies I had of like getting a Hasselblad went out the window because I was like, this is the camera. This is what I want to shoot with. So like, I don't know if I can't see myself shopping for many other medium format film cameras. I'd like to shoot with a TLR. I'd like to do some videos on TLR cameras because I think they're just cool looking and fun to shoot with. Like I like the waist level viewfinder and the portability of a TLR compared to some of these bigger box like cameras or like the Pentax 6.7. That camera is also huge. Yeah, I had. It's funny, like Mamiya cameras kind of fly under the radar. They're really fantastic quality, but some of the cameras are pretty cheap. Like even the if you want a Mamiya RZ67, but you don't want to spend that kind of money, you can get an RB67 for like a fraction of the cost. I think the RB67 is like another kit that you can get for like $200 or $300. But that camera is massive. Like it's the same kind of form factor as the RZ67, but it's so much heavier. You'll be carrying like that camera with the lens and everything. I think it's like 10 pounds. Like it's a beast. They should have called it the R Beast 67. But yeah, Mamiya cameras, they fly under the radar. I had a Pentacon 6, and that camera costs around the same as the Mamiya 645, and I think the Mamiya 645 is a much better camera. Let's see, yeah, I've looked at the Yashico one, the Matte 124G. I was looking into that. That seems to be a popular TLR these days, in terms of getting a really good quality medium format TLR for like $200. And another one that's really popular is the Mamiya C330. I see that a lot of people talking about those. One that kind of flies under the radar that I've been looking at is the Minolta Auto Cord. Those ones are cheaper as well, fairly affordable TLR, and I've heard they're really good. So that's something I want to try out because I've already seen a bunch of people do videos on the Matte 124G and the Mamiya C330. So I kind of wanted to like try something that's a little bit off the radar. I've looked at the Rolleiflex cameras. They're just I don't want to spend that much money on a TLR. Like they're great, but I don't think I want to spend that kind of money on one of those. Basically, I mean, any camera I get in terms of film cameras, I plan on making videos about them. That's kind of the whole point of doing a lot of this is like sharing it. That's one of the things that I really enjoy about it. I really like making videos and I really love shooting film. So this channel has been a good way for me to merge those two things. So basically, any of the stuff I'm talking about, if I actually have the ability to follow through on it, there will be a video. Let's see. Just looking through some of the other comments now. Like Minolta. It's fun to get this kind of feedback too, because there's some of these cameras that are just not even on my radar. I've never even like, not that I haven't heard of them, but I haven't thought to get them. I'm also interested in trying some more like point and shoot film cameras. I don't really like point and shoots all that much, but I had this idea that like I wanted to have a film camera that I could just toss in my bag and do kind of quick snapshot photography with, and be confident that it would autofocus and maybe I could shoot an aperture priority or something, but I wouldn't have to like fiddle around with all the settings because for me, I really like shooting film, but sometimes I just don't want the involved process of manually focusing the camera and setting all the settings and worrying about whether I'm getting the right exposure. Like I pretty much can get my exposure nailed at this point just from the experience of shooting so much film. and just knowing like the general lighting conditions. But there are times where I'm like, I just want to take a picture. I don't want to worry about manually focusing and stuff. So I've thought about getting point and shoot cameras, and some of the like, I don't know, maybe cult classic point and shoot cameras are like ridiculously expensive. Like I was looking at like the Konica Hexar AF and some of the Yashica cameras, and of course like the Contax like T2, and those cameras are just like ridiculously expensive. The Fujifilm class, and I can't justify to myself spending like $300 on a point and shoot film camera, as good as they may be. Like it's just something I haven't gotten into. Yeah, the Rolly 35 is a really cool camera. That's something that I wanted to test out too. That has a really interesting focus system. So one of my friends has that, and basically, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with the Rolly 35, it's very tiny camera. Like it's basically just big enough to fit a film canister in it, and it's a great camera. And but it has like it has scale focusing. So basically, you set the lens to a distance that you think your subject is away, and then you take the picture. And you really have to guess because there's no mechanism in a viewfinder or anything to let you know you're in focus. Like, with a rangefinder, you have the patch and you match the two images up. And then with SLRs, there's usually like some sort of focusing aid in the center of the viewfinder. But with the Rolly 35, you're really just like, okay, I think that's like 7 meters away, and then you take the picture. So that's something that would be really fun to play around with, though. I've looked at those cameras. I've thought about getting one, but again, that's another one that's like, I think they run like 250, like $200 to $250, as some of the prices I've seen. So I've shied away from the Rolly 35. Yeah, I've seen the Olympus point and shoots are really cool. I think Eduardo just did a video on one of the Olympus point and shoots. I don't know if it was the Miju or if it was the XA. I think it was the XA. Um, Also, if you guys are not familiar with Eduardo Pavez Goya, check his videos out. Like I think he's probably has my favorite film photography channel on YouTube, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of really great content out there. Um, but I'm consistently entertained by the videos he puts together. But yeah, point and shoots. I've been thinking about that a lot. One other guy who does a lot of point and shoot videos is Mike Padua, who runs the Shoot Film Company or Shoot Film Co. I think it's shootfilmco.com, and he sells like pins and stickers and stuff like that. Really, really chill guy, and he does a lot of videos on point and shoot cameras. And that's just like, it's funny because I actually got my start into film photography like in my adult life with a point and shoot camera. I had a Minolta Maxim 3000i, and I got some cool photos with that, but it's a totally automatic camera. I think my mom found it at a yard sale for like $10 or something and gave it to me. Um, but I took it to New York City last summer, and I was really excited to shoot some film in New York City. It was like probably only the fourth time I'd been to New York, and I had to roll a T-Max 400, and it was broad daylight in August, and all my pictures were like vastly underexposed. So there was something wrong with the internal meter of that camera, and I stopped shooting with it. And that's when I got into manual mechanical cameras and that sort of thing, and just sort of fell in love with shooting film through that. But I'm interested to sort of like test out some other point and shoot cameras, because one of the cool things about film photography is there are a lot of different avenues that you can take and different things that you can try out, like in terms of trying out different cameras and film formats and those sorts of things. Like it just seems like the possibilities are endless. They're not necessarily endless, but you can try out a lot of different stuff, like just different camera and film and lens combinations. Let's see. Yeah, I've heard of the Praktica cameras. I've never shot with one. So it's funny. So my mom, she does like yard sailing and estate sales and stuff, and she manages to hunt down the most obscure things. And she found this old Exacta camera at an estate sale recently, and I think she just like didn't even tell me much about it. She sent me some pictures, but she's like, "I'm gonna ship it to you." So like, I have an Exacta camera coming in the mail, which is pretty cool. But like, it's funny because then when I go to yard sales or thrift shops or something, I find like garbage. I don't find anything interesting. Like, it's always like, if I can even find a camera, like, I don't know who is going out and finding amazing cameras in thrift shops. Like, I saw someone post a video like, I found a Polaroid SX70 at a thrift shop. I'm like, what thrift shops are you going to? The ones in Boston are just like picked clean and there's no cameras. Like, if you can even find a camera, like, it's a piece of garbage. So I've had no luck thrifting or going to old vintage shops and finding stuff. There was one vintage sale in Alston here in Boston that I went to, but it was all people who were really into like the whole like hipster side of vintage culture, I guess. And everything was really overpriced. Like, there were these old like Kodak Brownie cameras and box cameras that they wanted like $40, $50 for. And I'm like, I could literally find that on eBay for $10. This is crazy. So what about you guys? Have any of you found really cool cameras at thrift shops? If so, where? So I can go find something. Oh wow, you got a Helios 44-2 lens for free? I had to buy one from a sketchy person on eBay for like $50. That's a really cool lens. I actually have some adapters. I still have not shot with adapting these lenses to my Sony A6000. Um, but that's something I really want to do. So let's see. Trying to think about some of the different film stocks I'm looking to try out. Hang on, I'm going to do some show and tell. I'm going to be back in 1 minute. So I'm just going to show off some of the film stocks that I was shooting with over the fall and summer. Um, most of these, I'm at the point where I'm ready to do videos on them, but again, it's just I haven't had the time to fit it in with the other videos that I've been doing. And now that I'm going to be doing the black and white film videos in January and February, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the time to show off some of these other films yet. But one really interesting film I've been shooting with recently is this stuff. Now, I know it's backwards in the camera, but this is Fuji Natura 1600. I think it's sold in North America as Fuji Superia 1600, but it's really interesting. It's a 1600 ISO color negative film, which is just insane. I've heard people online say that it's actually like well, it's not really 1600 ISO. It's 800 ISO rated to be able to push it one stop. But either way, you can shoot this stuff at 1600 ISO and get some cool results with it. And it's surprisingly not that grainy if you overexpose it or expose it properly. If you even slightly underexpose this film, it's grainy as hell. It still kind of has a cool look, like it looks like film, you know, more than something like Kodak Portra looks like film. Like it just has a real colorful film look that I've really enjoyed. So I shot 2 rolls of it so far. Shot 1 roll with the Pentax Spotmatic and the Helios 44-2 lens, and I just got those results back, and I was blown away. They look awesome. Something about Fujifilm, when you have green colors in your scene, like the way Fujifilm renders green tones is just, it's unbelievable. It looks so beautiful compared to like Kodak films, in my opinion. I don't know what it is, but Fujifilm greens just seem to come out very well. So that's one film I've been trying out. This other one that I've really had fun experimenting with is lomography red scale. So basically what red scale is loading the film with the emulsion side in backwards so that you're actually shooting through the film base, and it gives a very red cast to your image. So this is a color film, and I've had some cool results with this. The box speed is rated 50 to 200, so you can shoot it anywhere in the range of 50 to 200 ISO. I found if you shoot it at 200 ISO, the red and orange tones are like really heavily pronounced, and if you shoot it at 50 ISO, they're a little less so. It's really interesting. Now you can bulk load the film yourself backwards into the canister, but that is not something I want to spend time doing. I would rather just buy this stuff for a couple dollars, you know, and try it out. So I've been wanting to do that video for a while, the lomography red scale, but I wanted to shoot it at a couple of different ISOs to give you guys test results from what it looks like at 50 and what it looks like at 200. So I finally just got back the 200 ISO results. So it'd be really interesting to show that off whenever I make a video. Let's see. Yeah, Josh, I'm in the black and white mood too. So let's see. I have some. So most of the black and white stuff I've shot is Kodak. I've shot Kodak T-Max a lot and Kodak Tri-X, and I've shot Ilford HP5. And so for me, delving into more of Ilford film stocks is going to be really interesting. I haven't shot with very many of these. So these are medium format. They're available in 35 as well, but I have Ilford FP4 plus 125, 125 ISO black and white film, and then Ilford HP5, which is kind of like, I don't want to say it's Ilford's Tri-X, but it's in that sort of range. Like it's a kind of grainy 400 ISO black and white film, and I've really liked the results that I've gotten in the past with HP5. It was probably my favorite black and white film until I shot with Acros. I really love Fujifilm Acros. It's my favorite. I have a whole bunch of it that I plan to shoot in the future. I still have, okay, going back to color films. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I just grabbed a bunch of film from my room. So I still have a ton of this stuff. This is Provia 100 medium format. I bought a couple of boxes of it back in April because I was planning on doing a film photography project, like a portrait project that I wanted to shoot all medium format. And during the course of the project, I was also shooting 35 millimeter. So I started shooting a lot more Kodak Portra on 35 millimeter, and so I still have all of this Provia left over, And I initially had been shooting with the Pentacon 6, but I sold that camera. And I don't know, like 100 ISO is often very limiting, especially like I think my favorite time to shoot portraits is around golden hour, and it's a little bit harder to shoot a 100 ISO film as you're losing light. But Provia is probably, it's not my favorite color film anymore. It was for the longest time. It's been surpassed, and I will tell you what that is in a minute. So I was over the summer, I was testing out, I was trying to find different, more interesting color films. I was getting really bored with Kodak Portra 400 because it just looks very flat. Like you can get a lot of contrast out of it, but I mean, Kodak Portra 400 is supposed to have those like lifelike colors. Like that's why people shoot that film. But I kind of wanted something that was a little more saturated, but didn't look like Ektar, and didn't look like Velvia or something like that. Like I wanted a film that rendered colors very beautifully, but would still be good for portraits. So I found this film, which is Fujifilm Pro 160 NS. I don't know if this is available in North America or not. I bought it from an eBay seller in Japan. I think it's only available in medium format, and I don't know if they actually like export to the U.S. Like you probably won't find this in a camera store. It's not that expensive. Like you can get. I bought a 5-pack of it, I think, for like $55 or $60. So it's I guess more expensive than some color films, but the results I've got with Pro 160, it's phenomenal. Like the colors look so good. I've been posting some of them on my Instagram page, and I want to shoot some more of this stuff and do a video on it. I've shot 3 rolls so far, and every photo I've taken, pretty much I've been blown away with how the colors look. It has a way of really having this, it has sort of a cool tone as opposed to a warm tone, and without making skin tones look weird. I don't know how to describe it. So I will be doing a video on that at some point, and I'm like, this is an empty box, by the way. I'm itching to buy some more. I think I bought 3 rolls of it. And I shot it quickly because it was actually expiring in November or something, and I wanted to shoot it before it expired. But they still make fresh stuff, it seems like. But your best place to go, your best bet if you want to buy Fuji 160 is eBay, and find somebody that's selling it from Japan, because it's a great film. Yeah, I feel the same. I feel the same frustration with Fujifilm too. Like I didn't realize how many film stocks they had until I started looking outside of what they sold on US. And when I started searching Fujifilm stocks on like eBay or finding like tech sheets or product sheets, there's a lot that they sell only in Japan and Asia. Like they don't export everything to North America. I don't know. Maybe they've just decided it isn't worth it for them financially to do that. Fujifilm's frustrating. They make absolutely fantastic film, but as a company, they don't seem that dedicated to film. Like they kind of they've been discontinuing tons of film stocks over. They're doing some interesting things with their instant film. Like I'm really interested to see when the square format Instax comes out. It's supposed to come out in the spring, so I really want to try the Instax square camera. But for the most part, Fujifilm has kind of switched to really pushing their digital cameras, which makes sense, but it's just kind of a bummer that they make probably, in my opinion, the best film, and they don't really want to do it, it seems like. Let's see. To Will's question, yeah, I really like Ektar 100, but it's not the exact look I was going for in terms of like shooting portraits. Now I've seen some stuff shot on medium format with that guitar where it's overexposed to shoot portraits, and it looks really good. It just wasn't quite the look I was going for. So I think this Fuji 160, it's the bomb diggity. You got to try it out, or actually don't try it. Let me buy all of it. But no, I really wish that they shipped that stuff elsewhere. And I also wish, so, okay, just talking on these Fuji films. So this stuff is only available in medium format, and this stuff is only available in 35 millimeter. I really wish they made this in medium format. Like, Natura 1600 is a medium format film. That would be incredible. Like, I bet you could get some amazing results with that. I'm still waiting on my Cinestill medium format film, by the way. I backed the Indiegogo campaign that Cinestill put together to release a medium format film, and they're supposed to be shipping the rolls soon. I know this stuff takes time, but like I really just want to try it out. I think Cinestill medium format film is going to look really cool. Let's see. Yeah, I'm a little bummed with the loss of the FP100C2. I have a couple packs of it in my refrigerator, and it's funny because like I feel guilty shooting that stuff because it's like, oh, it's like $3 a photo, and they don't make it anymore. And like once I shoot it, it's gone. So like it ends up just sitting in my fridge instead because I never want to take it out and shoot with it. So my Polaroid pack film camera was actually a gift from my aunt, so it's right here. I'm gonna grab it. So this is something I was shooting with over the summer. Let's try to show that up a little bit more. This is a Polaroid Super Shooter Plus. They make a ton of different, I don't know what it was with Polaroid. They would make a ton of different like cameras that are basically exactly the same, but with different mains. So like, I'm pretty sure this is the exact same camera as the Polaroid Color Pack camera. Like, I've looked at those cameras, and all I can tell is that it says Polaroid Color Pack, and that this font is blue instead of like red. But this is an interesting camera to shoot with, and there is nothing quite like shooting peel apart instant film. Like, it's really cool. The one thing that I hate about it is the negative side when you peel it off. So say you're, out in the city shooting with this camera. The problem I've run into is I'll shoot a photo, I'll peel it apart, and then the negative side is still wet. And I'm like, I don't want to toss this in my bag and get gross chemicals all over my stuff. But I guess you can shoot them and then not peel them apart. You can, because the film actually has it stops its own development process when it's done developing. So you don't actually have to peel it apart to stop the development process. So that's something I might try. That's one of the things that has probably prevented me the most from shooting with this camera, other than the fact that FP100C film is now like $30 for a pack. So you're spending $3 a photo, is that I don't want to carry around gunky negatives. And I feel guilty throwing them away because I know I could scrape some of that stuff off and then scan the negative, So I'm like, I don't want to throw the negative in the trash because I could scan that. And then I don't want to carry around the gross negative. So I end up just not shooting. That solves nothing. Let's see. I have not shot Kodachrome. I didn't get into film until Kodak had already discontinued the K17 chemicals and the film stock and stuff. Here's a funny story. So I bought my Nikon F3 on eBay over the summer, and the seller included a bunch of like accessories and crap that I didn't really need. I really just wanted the camera body and a lens. So I wasn't buying it for all the accessories, but he threw some stuff in there, like lens cloths and all this other stuff. And he was like throwing in a free roll of film. It was a roll of Kodachrome. So, and he wasn't like lying about it. Like he put in the description, like comes with a roll of Kodachrome, but it's like he was hyping it up in the the eBay description, like he was doing this great favor of giving you a roll of film that you can't develop. So that was really funny. But yeah, I really want to shoot more with this Polaroid super shooter camera. The one I have, it's really clunky. This is actually, to talking about the Rolly 35. It has this scale focusing thing too. It's kind of hard to get that in focus, but you have to turn this knob and set it to a distance, and there's no focusing aid. So you just set it. And when I got this, I wasn't sure if these were in feet or meters. I think it's in feet because it goes up to 30 and it goes down to 3.5. So I think it's in feet, mainly also because Polaroid marketed their stuff in the US, manufactured for the US market primarily, I think. So they're using North American measuring standards, the English system. But yeah, you have to, that's another interesting thing. Like for me, being used to shooting with cameras that have some kind of focusing aid, this is like you just focus and you say, oh, that's 6 feet away, and then you take the photo and you hope it comes out. But yeah, like the process of shooting peel apart films and pack films is just really interesting. Like the whole process of like yanking it out of the camera, it just feels so brute. There's nothing quite like it. So it's really a bummer that Fujifilm discontinued this. And there were a couple of companies that were saying like, oh, we're going to make a peel apart film. There was actually a company here in Boston that got a little bit of press in like the film photography community. They're called Cat Labs because they posted an article when Fuji made the announcement, like, we will make pack film. But I think it was just a publicity stunt on their part because like they're not positioned to manufacture film. And I actually contacted them when they made that announcement because I said, I reached out to them and I was like, hey, do you guys want to do an interview? I'd like to do something. I've got this YouTube channel. I'd like to do something on the, what you guys are thinking about with this pack film. And they wrote back to me and said, well, we can't really talk about the pack film stuff now, but we are opening a new store here in Boston because I guess it was only an online store. We're opening like a physical store, so if you want to come to the grand opening, feel free to come to that. So I did not go. I feel like that was a publicity stunt on their part. Let's see. I do have some experiments with cheap film. I've shot some Kodak Ultramax. I actually really like Kodak Ultramax. It's really like, I like the high contrast look of it. It's a really like high contrast looking color film. It's kind of grainy. It just looks like film to me. Some photos that you shoot on film look like they could have been taken with a digital camera. I think a lot of stuff that's shot on Kodak Portra 400, if you expose it right and you're using a good lens, like it looks super sharp, like something that could have been taken on a digital camera. But Kodak Ultramax, like it just has this film look, and I actually really like it. I shot a roll of Kodak Ultramax in Korea when I was there in September, and I think I might have included some of those. I don't remember if I included those photos in the video I did or not. But in any case, I have shot some Kodak Ultramax, and I haven't shot any more of it because I started shooting some of these other films that I'm showing you, and now I'm going into black and white. A lot of the Kodak Ultramax and the cheap films are sold in 24 exposure rolls. And the annoying thing about that is it's not any cheaper to develop a 24 exposure roll than it is to develop a 36 exposure roll. So if I send a 24 exposure roll of Ultramax to, you know, the darkroom.com or some lab, they're going to charge me the same as if it's 36. So I kind of shy away from 24 exposure rolls. They do sell them in 36, but like if you just go, like, it seems like it's easier to find the 24 exposure rolls because the consumer marketed films are usually, you know, they're usually super cheap. They're like $3 a roll, but it's 24 exposures. But I'd actually like to probably, you know, buy some rolls of 36 exposure Ultramax online and then shoot some more of it because I like the results that I got out of it. Let's see. Agfa box camera. Yeah, I haven't shot with a box camera yet. That's something that I'd also like to try. And especially since some of the old box cameras use 620 film, which is the same, it's medium format film. It's the same film size as 120 film, but it's on a different size spool. Kodak decided that they were going to make proprietary film stock and sell cheap box cameras to try to like corner the market there. But since the Film Photography Project website, since they do re-rolled medium format film onto 620 spools, I'd probably just buy it from them because, like, yeah, you could re-roll it yourself, but like that's just one of the things that I'm not super interested in doing. Like for me, film photography, I like the process of shooting the photos, but I don't necessarily want to do some of these other things that people are interested in doing, like re-rolling film or bulk loading film and printing in the darkroom. It's not something that appeals to me as much as just the other stuff that I'm already doing. And so something like, you know, for me, I would rather buy 620 film pre-rolled. I would rather buy, you know, lomography red scale already bulk loaded that way, than do it myself. You know. Let's see. All right, bye, Ricardo. Let's see. So what else? Let's see some of these other film stocks I've got. This is one that I haven't shot with as much, but I'm hoping to try out a little bit more, is Fuji Pro 400H. I've shot some of it in 35 millimeter. One of my friends, he absolutely swears by it. He loves the look that he gets from 400H as opposed to Portra 400. A lot of the photos I see, it looks pretty similar, and the results that I've gotten, it looks pretty similar to Portra 400. And like I've said, I've kind of gotten bored with Portra 400 because it ends up just looking kind of flat, and I like more colorful, you know, colorful film stocks. So, but I want to give this more of a shot, particularly in medium format. I shot the first roll I ever shot of 400H in medium format was one of the first rolls that I shot on my RZ67, and I still wasn't figuring out how to get very good focus on that. So I took a bunch of photos that just came out like crap, like they were all out of focus, and a lot of them were underexposed and stuff. So I got to give 400H another shake, but probably going to wait till the weather's nicer here in Boston. One of the things that's tough, and why I kind of scrambled to get some of these videos together where I was shooting outdoors, like the one I just posted on the Mamiya 645 with Daniel, is because it's starting to get cold here in Boston, and it also gets dark at like 4 p.m. So it's harder to shoot that kind of stuff in the winter time here. Like Boston's interesting. Like the summers are absolutely gorgeous, amazing. It's such a great place to be in the summer, and then the winters are just brutal and cold and dark. And so we're entering that brutal cold dark time now where it's dark at like 4 p.m. And like at my day job, I work until 4 p.m. and even getting out as early as 4 p.m., it's dark out now whenever I leave work, or it's like maybe I have 20 minutes of light or something. And it's only going to get worse up and through like February. So black and white film it is, I guess. I'll be shooting a lot more of this Ilford stuff. Let's see. So I'll probably take a few more questions. I want to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so. Let's see. All right, Fuji, Provia, and Velvia are both, yeah, they're both available in the US. You can get those. You cannot get Provia 400, which I cannot figure out whether it's discontinued or not. Naturally, when Fujifilm announces, they're a Japanese company, so when they announce that a film has been discontinued or they put out any sort of official press releases, they're in Japanese and then someone has to translate it to English. So sometimes it's hard to find information on like whether a film is still in production or not. So I've had a hard time figuring out whether Fuji Provia 400, which is probably one of the fastest, it's probably the fastest speed slide film that's still available, is like still in production or whether it was discontinued, but that's not available in the US. With modern e-commerce though, like any of this stuff is pretty much available anywhere. You just got to know where to buy it and probably pay a little bit more for shipping. Some of the like camera stores and places that sell film in Japan will have like eBay shops and will ship to the US for free, but they usually sell in bulk. So you have to buy like a pack of 5 rolls of film. So you kind of make a commitment, When I bought this Natra 1600, this is not available in the US. It was fairly cheap. It was like $9 or $10 a roll, but you had to buy like 6 rolls. So I'm fairly committed to this stuff. But yeah, you can get Provia and Velvia. You can get Provia 100 in medium format or 35 millimeter, and it's fairly cheap. Like Provia is like $7.50 a roll for medium format. I don't know about what it is in 35 anymore, but it's fairly cheap. And then Velvia 50 is a little harder to track down, but I think I bought Velvia 50 on B&H Photo. I've had some success buying it there. It's out of stock on FPP, and it's harder to find on like Amazon. But I think B&H Photo and Video is a good place to go for Velvia 50, which that's a really good looking film. Velvia 100 I'm not as big of a fan of, but I really like Velvia 50. Let's see. Oh, you bought Natra on Amazon? Sweet. All right. Provia 400. Yeah, I don't want to do re-rolling film on my own. So it was funny. I watched a video that Ted Forbes put together. This is a while ago, but he said during the course of his time doing his channel that he's met sort of 2 types of photographers who are interested in film. One who go sort of all in, like they get into their own developing and darkroom printing and go all in on like every aspect of film photography. And then there are other photographers who are interested in just shooting the photos and getting the aesthetic. And I sort of fall into that second category where I like shooting film because I like the process of just shooting the photos and getting that film aesthetic, and I get enjoyment out of shooting with different film cameras and trying them out. But I'm just not as interested in going through the process of developing film at home and mixing up chemicals or doing things like bulk loading and stuff, which can save you money in terms of how you process things, but it requires a lot of time commitment and patience to learn those things, and initial investment in things like a bulk loader or equipment to develop at home. see. Yeah, I've never shot large format. That's something I want to try too. Landscape photographers really like the Velvia 50, and a lot of the landscape photographers who shoot large format like swear by that film and use it. That and Ektar in terms of like capturing colors. For me, just making the jump into that is not something I've wanted to do in terms of the financial investment. Um, I would have to get a different scanner if I was going to scan them at home because my scanner is not big enough to hold 4x5 and 8x10 negatives. And then just the cost per sheet of film, I think like a lot of color films, if you buy them in packs of 10 sheets, you'll spend like, you know, 75, $80. So you're spending like $7 to $8 a photo. It's a lot more involved. So for the type of stuff that I shoot, which is mostly like portraits and cityscapes, and handheld, it's mostly like handheld photography. I'm not setting up with a tripod and a cable release in most cases. So for me, haven't really gotten into large format yet, but I know a lot of people like it, and particularly like shooting landscapes with things like Velvia 50. Yeah, I've watched a lot of Matt Day's stuff. Let's see. I've never heard of the Toyo large format cameras. I actually don't know a ton about oh, the digital back. Okay. Yeah, I was looking at the Crown graphic at one point because I thought that would be a good, or like a speed graphic. I thought that'd be a good jumping in point to large format film. So probably like a year ago, I went to a conference in Providence for my work, and they were doing a photography workshop on like early process photography. And there's this photographer in Rhode Island. His name's Brett Hendrickson, who shoots like glass plate negatives in a large format camera and then develops them with wet collodion. So it's like wet plate collodion is the process. So he's doing like real hardcore stuff. And so I got to see his like studio setup and some of the stuff that he was shooting. He has some pretty cool portraits that he's done with glass plate negatives, which is pretty hardcore. And they were big. They were like 8x10 negatives, so big sheet of glass. And it was interesting to just see he went through the whole process of shooting the photo and then taking it into the dark room and taking it out of the dark slide and then putting the developing chemicals on it and the stop bath and everything. So that was a really cool workshop to attend. That's even like on the vintage side and like of alternative process photography and stuff. Like that's the real hardcore stuff, the people who are still doing like tintypes and daguerreotypes and stuff like that. That's something that I'd like to try at some point in my life, but I don't see myself getting into. Like I think it'd be cool to do that as like take a workshop, like a weekend workshop or something, and spend some money and just go shoot with somebody else's gear and pay for the materials and stuff, so you don't have to like go out and do that yourself and have someone show you how to use the developing chemicals. Like I think it'd be cool to do something like that. Let's see. Hood photography. I have to check that out. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up here. So thank you all for attending tonight. This was really cool. I really didn't know what to expect, especially since my internet connection is incredibly slow. So I just didn't even know if this was going to work from a technical standpoint. So anyhow, I'm going to have a couple more videos coming out next week. And for the rest of December, I'm probably going to do a couple of Nikon videos And then I do want to do some more digital photography stuff. So I'm going to do a few things on my Sony cameras and lenses moving forward. I'll probably keep that to like maybe a video a month or something, if I can even get that much done. And then start of the new year, it's going to be black and white photography. So we'll see you later. I'm just going to sign off. So see you next week. Have a good night, guys.